When thinking of privacy, a lot of us would argue that decentralized and open source technologies are paving the way for the future, especially when it comes to things like transactions and total net worth. Today, we will learn more about a project that is engineered with focus around Dandelion protocol, proof of stake, ring CT, ZK bulletproofs, and most importantly, privacy. In episode 2 of Verify Crypto, we'll take a deep dive into a project called Ghost. Hello everyone and welcome back to Verify Crypto. Today I have a special guest with me from the project called Ghost. His name is Tizzy. How are you doing today, Tizzy?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
So tell me, what is your role with ghostcoin?
Currently, I serve as the project director for Ghost.
That's great. And how did you first get into cryptocurrency?
I first got into cryptocurrency way back in 2015. My buddy had introduced me to it, and at first, I sort of kind of blew it off as a pyramid scheme. Those were pretty popular around my area, given the time. We knew a lot of people that were doing these kind of weird jobs. You know, you can make 100,000 in your first month, right? And you just got to get these people to sign up, the Herbalife sort of thing. So I kind of packaged that together with what was going on because this is my first time hearing about Bitcoin. But it wasn't until I really sat down one night and gave it another thought and actually read the white paper in detail. And that's when it hit me. I was able to realize the potential of it. And ever since then, I was hooked.
Yeah, I stumbled across Bitcoin myself a little bit after you, and I also didn't take it serious at first until later. I had a layoff from a job and eventually had the time to actually look into Bitcoin. And of course, here I am today, 5 years later, and still have the same passion for the space as I did when I first started. Now, what led you into ghostcoin? How did that come about?
So I found Ghost in early 2020. I was just pretty much full-time day trading at this point, and came across it through one of these groups that I was in where we kind of spun off different projects, and we talked about some of the things that we're hoping to accomplish, and Ghost was mentioned. And I didn't really have a huge passion for privacy at that point. I was privacy conscientious at the time, sure, but it wasn't to the extent where I am now. So I looked into Ghost, and I believe at the time it was only available on HitBTC, and so I picked a few up, and then started to read the white paper, and joined the community, and just kind of got my start there.
That's great. If I remember correctly, Ghost kind of got started with McAfee in, was it 2020, you say? And his role with Ghost, as far as I understand, wasn't too existing other than kind of having his name on it. Would you say that's correct?
A lot of people think, they see Ghost, and sometimes they'll see Ghost by John McAfee, and they really just think that John was out here, writing lines of code for hours on end, and really picking out how we would move forward, and that's really not the case. John really just kind of served more as an adversarial position for us, if you will, and really his impact was solely limited to really advertising the coin. John really didn't have a hand in the day-to-day operations.
Yeah, that's kind of, I don't know how I learned this. I do, though, follow or have followed John McAfee for some time, and do remember when he decided to create Ghost, and his intentions were to be a privacy coin. Tell me a little bit how the privacy nature of Ghost.
So, right, Ghost is a decentralized anonymous peer-to-peer cash system, and we make use of protocols such as ring CT, bulletproofs, and Dandelion++. Bulletproof serves as our zero-knowledge range proofing, RingCT pretty much serves as our one-stop shop for the confidential transaction protocol. And then you have Dandelion++ that kind of wraps everything all together and serves as that cherry on the top.
Which one of those features would you say is most beneficial for privacy, or would they all contribute fairly their own part?
It's difficult to really pick apart which one is, really the most beneficial and most crucial to the blockchain, because they all are in concert together and serve their purpose. If I had to single one out, it would probably be bulletproofs, simply because with confidential transactions, the difficulty here is the zero knowledge aspect. And in that ability of having zero knowledge is that you have to prove that a sender is sending these funds, and thus you also have to prove that these funds are now yours when you receive them. So what Bulletproofs does is it goes in and it prevents against these double spends. I think having that layer there, absolutely serves as that, winner for picking out, the one out of the three.
Right on. I personally am not so tech savvy with those terms when it comes to bulletproofs or confidential transactions, and the list goes on with other aspects of crypto, not just the privacy natures. Do these things root from other cryptocurrencies, like something like Monero, for example?
They do. So Ghost and Monero are pretty similar in nature, if you're looking at it by face value. However, we do have our differences. But Bulletproofs was implemented in Monero back in 2018, I believe, during the summer. And when they first introduced Bulletproofs successfully, it reduced their transaction fees by over 96%. And then, of course, Monero is famous for developing the RingCT protocol as well. This is the actual privacy nature that makes our anonymous transactions work, also in concert with Bulletproofs, of course. The third one, Dandelion. Dandelion was originally developed for Bitcoin, I believe, in 2017. However, the developers decided to not move forward with it for whatever reason, so left out, implementing it for future core versions of Bitcoin. Both Monero and Digibyte, and I believe another project, also have Dandelion running in their protocols.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. With Monero, it's CPU mineable. Is Ghost also a CPU coin, or how does the validation work?
So Monero's consensus method is proof of work. And I think it's safe to say we're all familiar with proof of work. But Ghost runs on a proof of stake consensus method. So users will stake their coins to validate and verify transactions on the blockchain and secure the chain. So you have the more users staking, the more secure the blockchain is. The argument here is that proof of stake is sort of known as a whale consensus, and it's easily corruptible, because the larger stake you have, the greater network you control, and the greater the chances that you could become a bad actor or act in a malicious way. The same argument could be said for proof of work as well. You gain a large enough hash power, you can also make the chain go Byzantine and act maliciously. So each consensus method has its benefits and some of its disadvantages. But the main difference between Monero and Ghost is that Ghost is proof of stake and Monero is proof of work.
That is interesting. I do like both consensuses myself, and personally I'm a fan of masternodes as well. Is there any masternode to Ghost, or is there a system like that?
So when I joined the early days of Ghost, there were plans to implement masternodes, but being that we had already had a masternode program sort of in place, Ghost Veterans, it was determined that masternodes wouldn't really be beneficial to the blockchain. So we don't actually have masternodes. However, we do have a masternode reward structure, if you will. So to become a Ghost veteran, users need to obtain a threshold of 20,000 coins, and that makes you eligible to receive Ghost Veteran rewards. This doesn't, increase the speed at which transactions are validated or any of that nature. So, we don't have to roll into the possibilities of, is this now a delegated proof of stake chain? No, it is strictly a proof of stake chain without actual master nodes implemented.
So do the validators or the stakers, so to say, do they have a certain collateral, or what is the minimum to stake on Ghost?
So the minimum amount to stake on Ghost is 0.1 Ghost, I believe. It might even be less than that. It's been a while since I visited that. I actually want to say it's 0.01 Ghost. And then again, as I mentioned, if you want to become a Ghost veteran, the minimum collateral is 20,000 coins. And if you're not a veteran, you can earn around 11% APY. And if you are a veteran, you can earn up to 28% APY.
That's great. Awesome. And good to know. So maybe if any of us decide to buy our Ghost, then we will definitely be considering those ROIs. With the staking, there's always the thought of 51% attacks being a weak point versus proof of work. Do the bulletproofs, Ring CT, or Dandelion prevent things for a 51% attack to happen?
So Ghost essentially leads all the way back to, or traces its roots back, I should say, to Bitcoin, like every project, right? So we do share that same 51% attack vulnerability, if you will, but there are protocols in place to prevent such an event from happening. If it's determined that a node is acting maliciously, then all the nodes on the Ghost blockchain will act together and ban that node from operating. So you won't be able to broadcast a transaction, and if you gain, even more coins and even try to stake, you will be unable to stake. So you will just be stuck with these coins, and you really won't be able to do anything because your node is now malicious, right? You're acting in bad faith and trying to, do damage to the blockchain. So it shares the same sentiment Bitcoin does in its efforts to prevent those attacks.
Amazing. Yeah, the aspect of these technologies that can prevent 51 attacks, and as blockchain tech proceeds forward, I think we'll see less of that. Obviously, once you become well established and have a stable network of nodes, then those things become less of a problem over time. Do the Ghost veterans act as some sort of governance for the model?
So currently we're in our development stage of working on the actual on-chain governance. However, what we have in place is a Ghost veterans sort of governance model. The veterans will vote on, which matters are, most pressing at the time. If we want to decide to go into a new direction, spend any funds, whatever it may be, it all goes to a vote to the veterans.
That's good. When it comes to governance, then it's kind of the path forward would be the veterans, you would say.
Yeah. For now it is. Until we actually are able to hit production with our on-chain governance. As of right now, it lays in the hands of the Ghost veterans. And on-chain governance is something that we really believe is essential, especially for projects that like to claim a great level of decentralization. And it also just makes the chain more transparent.
So explain to me this. How is it that the privacy side of transacting work on projects like Ghost, Monero, or Digibyte? And what is it exactly that is different from something like Bitcoin?
So with Bitcoin, originally it was just, originally it was anonymous because there was nothing like it. You just had these culmination of letters and numbers, and that was your address. And if you weren't running a VPN, then you just had your IP address attached to these transactions that you were broadcasting. However, that has now changed to more of a pseudonymous level. So Bitcoin is not private at all. There's no privacy layers. I guess you could argue with the implementation of Taproot, there's some level of privacy, but when you really strip down Bitcoin in its entirety, there's nothing private about it at all. And with Ghost, on the other hand, as I mentioned at the start of this, we make use of ring CT and bulletproofs, as well as Dandelion++. That ring CT protocol is our fundamental privacy layer. And what it does is whenever you broadcast a transaction, it will split up that transaction into a certain number of ring signatures. And these ring signatures are known as decoys. So you'll have decoy transactions along with your actual transaction. So it helps obfuscate the user from a pool of other nodes, making it nearly impossible, should be impossible to trace that back.
Thank you for sharing those details. I don't think I would understand quite how otherwise. It's good to get these technologies out there in the open, so that way it's more transparent for the listeners and, of course, myself. Do you see Ghost being a pillar for privacy and decentralization in the future?
I hope in the future that users in this crypto sphere are able to see that Ghost has done some amazing stuff. There's been a lot of work that's gone into our protocols to ensure that privacy is a number one priority. It's a difficult world now to navigate in when all of your information is made public and made available to advertisers, other third-party purchasers of your data. So hopefully, in the coming years, users will see that Ghost is here to stay, and its privacy is unmatched, and in accordance with decentralization as well. Every other protocol, we aim to include another factor of decentralization. More recently, we had just automated our Ghost Veteran Reward system. Initially, it was a monthly process that had to be paid out by the team, so it was very tedious and time-consuming as well. But now it is 100% decentralized, and those Ghost Veteran Rewards are paid out per block. It's truly one of the larger feats that we're very proud to have accomplished.
That's great. Congrats to doing that as well. When it comes to wallets, do you guys have a core wallet or a web wallet? How does that side of things work?
For those that are in the early days of Bitcoin, they might remember the Bitcoin Qt wallet. And this was just sort of your basic UI interface for your coin control, coin hosting. You could send and receive and everything like that. So we do have a Ghost Qt, but we do have a Ghost Core desktop version as well. And this is a nice graphic interface. Like the Qt wallet, you can stake and you can cold stake as well from it. The other wallets we have, we partnered up with Hebe, and we also have a Telegram bot wallet as well. So you can send, receive, stake, and also send anonymous transactions through the Telegram wallet as well. On top of all of these as well, of course, we have StakeCube, and StakeCube's a masternode hosting service, so you can keep your coins on StakeCube and stake as well.
That is very interesting. Thank you for sharing. Is there any other tech side things that you would like to share with Ghost?
Yeah, one that's notable, worth mentioning, is the Ghost Electrum wallet. We hit production with that this year, and what Ghost Electrum is it's a lightweight wallet, and it's very fast as well. So a traditional wallet, you'll need to download the entire blockchain, and you'll basically need to have it open and running at all times in order to be synced to the chain and be up to date on the latest block headers and so forth. What Ghost Electrum does is it indexes these block headers, so that way whenever you boot up your Ghost Electrum wallet again, it's already there. You don't have to re-index, you don't have to rescan the entire blockchain. It's already ready for you, and you're good to go. The biggest thing for Ghost Electrum for us is it solved the usability issue that we were facing. We have a very large community that makes use of Android products, And so we were able to develop an app for it, and it's actually available on the Google Play Store now. So users can download the Ghost Electrum app and host their coins there, and also stake as well. In addition to all that, Ghost Electrum can serve as a plug-in wallet, as well as a potential third-party addition for hardware wallets, which is something we're actively working on right now. So in the future, you'll be able to keep Ghost on your ledger, your Trezor, and hopefully BitFi as well.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. So what is it for Ghost and the tokenomics? Is the supply infinite, or is there a max supply? And what is the circulating supply?
About 21.1 million coins in circulation. And the max there will ever be is 55 million. I do not know what our annual inflation is, but I do know that we had just observed our first block emissions reduction, and this is a 5% reduction. So this will now happen every year for the next 44 years. It'll be decreasing by 5%.
Very well. And the divisibility factor of crypto kind of makes a finite supply not as finite as many think. I'm on both sides of it. I see the value of an infinite supply, and I see the value of a hard-capped finite supply. It's always interesting to see which projects decide to go on what direction there. With Ghostcoin and all the stuff going on right now, what is something that users and holders have to look forward to?
We're busy finishing up our roadmap for 2023, but probably one of the most exciting things on there is going to be Ghost Chat. And what Ghost Chat is a AES 256 encrypted instant messaging chat that will be integrated directly into the wallet. Now, I believe this is going to be a blockchain first when it comes to an instant messaging service. So we're obviously very excited for that. It'll basically be a fully user end-to-end encrypted, decentralized platform where you can talk.
This chat, it will be built into the wallet?
Yeah. So we're looking to have it built in directly to the wallet. So you'll have your various windows or your various options, right? Like many wallets have, whether it's like settings, coin control, your staking pools windows. This will basically just be another window where you can go in and you'll be able to see your chats, enter into a new chat, and whatever it may be.
That's awesome. So I'd like to speculate with you a little bit here on maybe the UI. Do you think it will be something like a Telegram or like a Discord or like an old school AOL chat room? And how private will it be?
It'll be, pretty similar to a Telegram or a Discord. Users will be able to create chat rooms in there, and obviously you'll be able to instant message with somebody directly. You'll also be able to have that same factor where if you don't want to talk to anybody, you can just simply turn it off, stop receiving messages and that sort of nature as well. How private is it going to be? It'll be very private. You'll have a pseudonym that you can select, and that'll be your identifier basically for people to contact you should you share it. But you can also change it if you want. So there's no trail, and there's no data stored. There's no metadata stored anywhere. And again, to mention, with AES 256, the encryption level there is so advanced, it would take the best computers today 2,000 trillion years to correct this cryptography.
That is insane. I can't imagine that there'd be any other more private software out there for that sake. So will this chat app have extended features so that maybe you can't talk about today, maybe give us a teaser about, or will it be like, also another question I have, will any user of a wallet be able to communicate with all others?
I think I can answer that second question. And basically, yeah, it'll be, free access to anybody, able to talk to whoever they want. Should they gain access to a user's username, if you will. It's not going to be something you can just look up, like on Telegram. If you look up Bob, right, there might be a million Bobs to choose from. You would need to have Bob's specific username in order to contact Bob. However, as I was mentioning, you'll also be able to turn off contact between these two users. And I don't mean that you'll be able to block their node. So if they wanted to send you coins, your node has now blacklisted them, so to speak, from interacting with the blockchain. That is not what we're talking about at all. This is just simply for the Ghost Chat protocol itself.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to Ghost Chat and to see how that goes. I think that could be some innovative, futuristic technology that gets used, and honestly, it could help with wallet downloads and usability, which is always a good thing. Now, when it comes to DeFi, does Ghost operate on any other layers like Ethereum, or do you guys have a wrapped token or anything like that?
We've been exploring wrapping Ghost on a few different blockchains for the past year now, and I think we're finishing up our research right now. We're really setting our sights on this one specific blockchain that at this time I can't mention, but we understand the importance of having that DeFi aspect and all the usability that comes with DeFi. So we're really excited to finalize our decision and get to work on developing that wrapping.
That's great. I see lots of projects do it, and it seems today that it could be difficult to make a decision on what blockchain or network to use, especially with there's like 20 networks now or something like that you can pick from, with things like scalability and gas fees or usability or users onboarding, all those good things. Really makes it a tough decision to decide what network to use, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's really tough to really hone in which blockchain. Obviously, in a perfect world, we would select ETH. Not saying we're not selecting ETH, but for any project out there, the obvious choice is to bridge on Ethereum, given its massive ecosystem and its massive liquidity. But of course, Ethereum poses its own disadvantages, as you mentioned, scalability, and now more notably, a concerning level of centralization, I might add.
Yeah, it appears to me that the shift from proof of work to proof of stake is still up in the air as far as results and outcome of how things go there. But yeah, many people do say proof of stake is more centralized in that regards. Myself, I'm not sure how true that is. I think that as long as your network is well distributed, as far as people holding with proof of stake, then you're probably in a good position in that cryptocurrency. Now, would you guys ever consider building your own EVM clone or your own layer? Is that something that Ghost has ever thought about doing?
I think we played around with it in the past before I was elected project director. I can't exactly remember what that first team was really working on or playing around with, but initially there was an ERC20 version of Ghost, which served as a placeholder until mainnet was ready.
You said first team kind of caught me there. Did you guys essentially have a community takeover after McAfee kind of gone MIA?
Takeover might be sort of a hostile word, but the first team was there, and those guys did great. They placed down the foundation layer and gave Ghost everything that it needed in order for it to survive and succeed into this day. And when I was really getting involved and voicing my opinions and kind of saying, hey, let's maybe try out going with this avenue or going in a different direction for whatever it may be, a community decision or a developmental decision. I started to gain some notoriety, if you will, and the community caught eye of that very quickly. And at the same time, the original team, they're looking to move on to a different project, and it just kind of eased into a nice handoff, if you will. That goes with saying that there was a community vote to instill that, to make sure, this is what the community actually wanted, and this is what they thought would be in the best interest of the chain and in the community.
So tell me, what is it about Dandelion that's so significant?
So the case for Dandelion is pretty how do I say this? Pretty interesting, because with the privacy tech that we already have, it's like adding on another privacy layer is almost like overkill. To go back from the beginning, I'll say this. So talking about Bitcoin, right? Whenever you broadcast a transaction, or any blockchain that it is, doesn't have to be Bitcoin. Whenever you broadcast a transaction, your IP address is also attached to that. Now, depending on what blockchain you're using, right? Like if it's Ghost, Monero, Zcash, you have a privacy aspect attached to it as well. So you can easily hide the sender, receiver, and the amount that you're sending. But again, the IP address is still going to be attached to that transaction. If you're able to, break through those privacy protocols and identify where that original transaction was broadcasted from. Now, if somebody's able to do that, then they've done everybody a huge favor, right? Zcash and Monero and Ghost and everybody will be in awe if that ever happens, which I don't think that will ever happen. But to gain a better understanding, as I was mentioning, Bitcoin first started development on Dandelion back in 2017. And again, for some reason, the developers decided not to move forward with it. But it was an attempt to improve its security. And, as I was saying, when you broadcast a transaction from a node, it then goes through its propagation phase to other nodes that are connected to, various other nodes in your local network called peers. So then that transaction is subsequently sent through a chain reaction with all other nodes in the entire network. In layman's term, this is Bitcoin's gossip protocol. However, the origins of the IP address can still be mapped out, by third-party observers. If you would like to employ, like consensus, chain analysis, I'm sure they could help you out by that. So that's how I mean by third-party observers. So being able to map this out, if they control enough nodes and gain enough traffic to filter out the obfuscation created by the nodes, these observers can effectively just map out the origin of the transaction by determining which node saw that transaction first. So the Dandelion protocol explicitly identified how a supernode sort of relay traffic of all peer-to-peer nodes and observe the patterns of transactions and how they spread over time. Eventually, this would reveal the source of the IP address. By creating a link to the IP address and the pseudonym of the sender, a third party can be de-anonymized and then further link transactions to that user. Dandelion++ differs from the original Dandelion protocol through its stem phase. So this is where transactions are passed over and intertwined, sort of like cables, if you will, before diffusing the transactions to the network. Furthermore, sorry, this is a lot. Furthermore, these cables can be fragmented, but the protocol's intuition on selecting a node to propagate to is still confined in its local neighborhood. So if you're observing like a neighborhood from an aerial view, you'll see all these transactions coming from these nodes, and it's just all the same transaction IPs, and it's just very difficult to attack one single node and say, hey, it's getting relayed from all this traffic over here and then being intertwined here. So the complexity is that being that it's confined to its local neighborhood, it's increasing that level of difficulty. And then, of course, we enter into the fluff phase where it'll then further propagate out to other nodes and then gossip back and forth almost like an echo chamber.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I don't have too many more questions for you, but I will ask you, where do we find out more about Ghost and how do we follow you?
You can go to our website, which is right now ghostbyjohnmcafee.com. And if I might add, it's now hosted on an IPFS. So we're pretty excited about that. For those that don't know, IPFS stands for an interplanetary filing system. Basically decentralizes the website and kind of makes it impenetrable and unable to be taken offline. But enough of that. You can also check out our Medium, Ghost by McAfee, and that's the same for our Twitter handle. Please join our Telegram. We are most active there for news, announcements, community updates.
And what is your Telegram at?
The Ghost Telegram is going to be at Ghost by McAfee as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Tizzy. And if you would like, we'd also like to follow you on Twitter if you have one. Do you want to share that with us?
Yeah, if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, it's going to be at TizzyMandius.
Thank you very much to have you on today. I fucked that up. Thank you for joining.
Restart?
Yeah, I'm restarting now. Thank you for joining the show today. Tizzy, is a pleasure to be able to interview you and review ghostcoin. I'm looking forward to Ghost Chat and to see how that goes. And I think that for the privacy sake of cryptocurrency, you guys have something cool going on. And thanks again for your time.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on.
This episode is sponsored by StakeCube. Trade, earn, build. StakeCube is an all-in-one crypto ecosystem equipped with an exchange, NFT marketplace, staking, and more. Join the future of finance while earning competitive APYs through multiple strategies across a wide range of crypto assets, with safety and efficiency in mind at stakecube.net.
Verify Crypto is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Information shared from the host or guests featured in this recording should not be viewed as investment or financial advice. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are considered as risky and speculative investments. If you're seeking investment or financial advice, find a licensed and professional financial advisor.